A very good morning, good afternoon, or good evening from whichever part of the world you are watching us from. You're just in time to catch us here on 3T TV, which is Thika's #1 online news channel, where we are telling the Thika story as it is. My name is Juliet Modoni, and today we are talking matters finances. There's a confirmed report that a lot of lending through these digital apps that we all have interacted with happens on Fridays, and we want to find out why most people are borrowing mostly during the weekends. So I hope that by the end of this segment you will have been able to learn a thing or two, and you will be able to manage your finances better. And if you haven't subscribed to this wonderful channel, we will give you a good reason enough to. So let us dive right into it. How are you doing?
Fine.
Thank you for making time to have this conversation with us.
Thank you for coming all the way, Juliet.
Start by introducing yourself. Let us know who we are talking to and what it is that you do.
I'll start by congratulating you by the work you're doing in Thika. I mean, who thought, you'd have a media house in Thika, so congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you for having me. My name is Amos Ngahu. I gossip about money, so because I gossip about it because people don't want they feel like they don't have a lot of it. So I tell them, let's talk about it in its absentia. So I run a company called Money Clinic, and Money Gossip is a product of Money Clinic. And all we do is gossip about money, address our money habits, our bad money habits, like today you're talking about debt, and see how we can have a better relationship with our money. Yes.
Awesome. So we've come to the right place, Money Clinic.
Yes, Daktari yuko. Pangeni line hapo nje, come in one by one with your questions.
Today we want to discuss about borrowing to survive.
Yes.
We have all interacted with Fuliza, the elephant in the room.
Yes.
On Friday, it has been said that people Fuliza more often than these other days.
There was a report. From 3 p.m. to around that time, there was COVID. There were restrictions. So that report was done around that time. So between 3 p.m. and around 8 is when a lot of money was lent. The same year, we had about 250 million lended to people. And 70% of that money has gone to consumption. So you know the danger of that. We are bashing the government, it is borrowing to spend or on expenditure, kulipa mishahara. But at the end of the day, it is a true reflection of how Kenyans are spending. You understand, and this is a misconception. I saw two young men competing. And you know what they're competing about? The amount of limit. Who has a bigger limit on Fuliza? And you see, to them, they're thinking it's their money. And it's not. So 70% of people are actually borrowing from these apps. All of them combined, not for biashara. Unatoka hapa kwenda Gikomba, kwenda kununua products. You understand? And that is a very big problem. So when you see 250 million lent to people, and 70% is going to consumption, now that's a problem. So we really need to do better, because these lending apps are actually affecting the youth more than they are affecting the older generation. Because them, over time, they had the culture of, by the time you get a loan from a bank, there's a lot of work that is done to prepare you for that loan. So that is a big challenge that we have.
I like that you're giving an example with young people. Then there's also this question. There's probably somebody who wants to purchase something and they earn very little money. So can I borrow and then now I will pay from my maga earnings?
The thing is, even the Bible talks about, in the book of James, when the Bible talks about the things I want to do, I don't do. But the things I don't want to do, I end up doing them. One of the things, and the foundation of my mentorship in terms of money, why Money Clinic exists, is for me to help you deal with the current money season you are in. If, for instance, you are that stage, because there are stages, there's a season you are, and I'm sure even now, when you started working, you are so excited about your job, money is coming, you have a pay slip, and you're telling people, you're telling your relatives, and you're excited about the job, isn't it? What happened after 6 months? Now, probably you're paying your own bills. Now expenses are becoming higher because the law is, as your income grows, your expenses grow your expenses grow to match it. So what happens over time? You start realizing that money is not enough. So you get into a season of hand to mouth. Now you're living on a tight budget. Now even you get a family, and now you begin now to go to the other side of borrowing. Are we together? Then for some reason, at some point, someone gets a windfall. Some people get big jobs, some people win a lot of money. And then you're also in a season whereby you have a lot of money. You understand? So there are various seasons, and even anybody who's watching us is in a unique season. There are people who are in debt. There are people who are actually doing very well. So you don't have to borrow to do something unless it's a business and it's giving you a return. You can wait. Chances are a lot of us feel like we need to buy something because we saw it with somebody.
Absolutely.
Or we saw it somewhere and we feel like we deserve it. Yes. Yet you don't have capacity to afford. I'll give you an example. At 26, I got my first car loan because my bosses thought I would afford. Okay? It's my bosses who determined my affordability, not me.
Was it based on your payslip?
It was based on the payslip. But now the car loan was about 650. That's what I qualified for. But the car I had seen my friends with was costing 850. So I took 2 loans to buy that car. Little did I know, I was living Pale Biafra. Pale Chini Biafra.
Yes.
So there was not enough parking. So what happened? You have to move into a bigger house that is doing what? Has more rent.
Parking.
Yes, it has parking but more rent.
Of course.
I had not budgeted for fuel. I had not budgeted for insurance. So people will tell you, buy that thing you're buying on loan, but there are other costs that come with it. So I tell people, if you cannot afford it, forget about it. Just because you can pay for it, you can pay through any loan, you can access a loan.
Yes.
Just because you can pay for it does not mean you can afford it. You understand?
Sure.
Yes. Because you can use your entire salary right now to go and do what? To go to Mombasa or to go to Dubai, isn't it? But then when you come back, you have nothing. That means you can't afford it. So just because you can pay for it does not mean you can afford it. So I am telling you, unless it is something that is giving you an income, work on other ways. Look at a passive income. Look at your talents. And I'll tell you why I started, because sometimes people feel like it's a joke. Start building something. Okay? Don't just look at going into debt. Look at what you have already, including your abilities. Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think from what you're saying is that most of us, we want to go through to the season of earning before learning how to manage that money.
I like that concept. In fact, that's a very good concept, because you think about it. A lot of us, this is where your money behavior right now is going to affect generations. How? Having grown in Thika and in a social environment, we had shops. We had shop Pale Phase 10. So in that shop, you'd find there are some people who would come and pick things on credit and pay on a certain day.
Yes, kulikuwa na kitabu ya deni.
Yes. So your kitabu, what normally happens is, from an early stage, we begin to understand that it is okay to take debt, even for no reason. But now when you grow up, you will find you've gone to a restaurant, people are buying lunch, nini, but you need to top up. What will you do?
You can afford.
No, especially men. Please, men, I'm talking to you. What we will do for me to catch up, if kama unapiga sherehe and someone has already done a rao, what will happen? You will go to your Fuliza. Yet you can even go to your ATM, but because you're assuming it is your money, because as a child you are told it is okay to go into credit because you'll pay later, we started that habit earlier. Okay, so it has been inculcated into your behavior. So that is why we need to understand it digs deeper than what you're seeing today. That Fuliza habit, that digital lending app has not started today. That mentality, that culture of borrowing has not started today. It started because of the culture that was put in you by how you grew up, by your parents, by the society. So we must address the culture before we get to where we are. Because ask our grandparents who are there, or the older generation, why aren't they struggling with this? Because they there was no culture of borrowing in that particular time. So we have to look at, first of all, forget about the things that you need. How do I need to start growing my passive income and earn it, passively? Yes.
So we have basically normalized the habit of spending money that we don't have, and
Yes.
we are very okay with
Yes.
it. If we are competing to see whose Fuliza amount is more and higher than the other one, I
Yes,
mean,
it happens. And it's not just Fuliza. I mean, these digital apps, if you look at on average, a 25-year-old who's probably on his first job, like a year or two, they are already listed negatively.
wow.
You saw that how many Kenyans, the data from CRB, how many Kenyans have been listed negatively is enough to win a presidential election. In fact, because I've been there, I've been listed there before. Yes, because we've all gone through seasons.
Yes.
But one thing I can tell you, because I have borrowed from these apps, you can never borrow your way out of poverty. Never. And one of the things, it's like a cancer. There's a lady I saw on TikTok, and she made a joke out of these digital lending apps. She was saying, once you borrow, ni kama bangi, you're hooked.
You keep coming back.
You
for
keep
more
coming
and
back.
more and more.
And that's what I call chains of habits. You know, there's a katabia, Juliet, unakuwaga nako. At the back of your head, you know, ako katabia. It is destructive, it is bad, it is dangerous. And you don't need, and you don't need to be told by anybody. But guess what? You keep doing it because there are no immediate repercussions. So those are chains of habits. They cannot be felt. They are not easily felt until they are too difficult to be broken. So you realize the day you lose your job, hey, I have Fuliza everywhere. I don't have anything. And that is what is happening.
Yeah.
You saw a guy who went to Eldoret from Thika,
Yes.
upper to Thika, and went all the way to Eldoret,
Yes.
bought an axe, sharpened it. He had the time, and waited for the girlfriend and
Ivy.
slaughtered her.
Ivy. Yes.
You get? And I try to look back at where all these things started. He was sending her money, and apparently it was not enough. Where do you think he got the top up from? We will never know. So probably he took from a digital app to send the money. But because he believed that that money, or by borrowing, he's solving his issues, when that money is lost, when everything you had attached on it is lost, so he felt like she owed him. You understand? And that now brings us now to emotional competence. You need to get to a place whereby if your significant other, if your children are putting pressure on you, and because you need to buy something, start saying these words: I cannot afford. Whatever crumbles, crumbles. There's always time to rebuild. Yes.
Wow, that's a very heavy one, because you know, emotionally you
Yes.
do not want not to give that child a bike.
Yes.
But you actually can't afford it.
You see, for children, you can use a different language and ask them, how can we afford? You know, I'm telling you from parenting angle. I have 2 boys. And I'll tell you one thing. Children will not, okay, they will listen to you, but they do more of observing than listening. One time I was hapo tu kwa shamba. I have planted bananas, and we were harvesting bananas, and there was a lot of you see, before it's well plowed, there is this weeds that grow, you know, and because he's short, they are about his height. So I told him, walk closely to me and be careful. He told me, don't worry, Daddy, I am following into your footsteps.
Wow.
I didn't think about it, but that was a very big statement. I am following into your footsteps, meaning I feel safe following every step you're making. So today, if I feel that I cannot afford even the house I'm living in, because it has happened to me, I have told the guy, we are moving into a smaller house. Why? Because our finances are limited for now. You understand? And that guy took it personally, because he was like, even the weekends outings, are we able to afford, or we can do it at home? What are you doing to this child? You're preparing them for the future, because you don't know his future, isn't it? So what happens when in life, when he gets to a place whereby probably he's gotten a pay cut, and he has to scale down, he will not be afraid because he saw you do it and it was okay. He's seen me go into a smaller car, okay, and he's like, Daddy, as long as it moves, it's fine.
Yeah.
You understand? So you're building a culture. But the moment you don't communicate or you don't have a simple conversation, like now fuel has gone up, now everything will go up.
Yes.
So for me, I sat down during Easter, I told them, listen, we are going to buy books. Books before they go up, before fuel, everybody takes the price up. Let's go and buy books, because now fuel has gone up, and I explained the basic commodity like milk. We were buying it for this much. So he knows that we are paying slightly more. If I don't do that, the day he asks for it, he will think I'm stingy. Why? Because I had not preempted this to him. So it's always good to have this conversation, even with kids, with your significant other. You've lost your job, you're being deducted something. Relieve that pressure. And especially men, we have been unable to communicate losses.
You do not know.
We are able to communicate wins.
Yes.
We are there. What do you want? Have it. But the day we have a loss,
You actually go quiet.
yes.
If I've been asking for rent and you give it to me,
Yes.
when you don't have it,
Yes.
by the way, hata unani blue tick.
Yeah, and you don't want to have conversation. And even worse, because now you feel like we are doing something else with the money.
Thank you. Yeah,
understand?
because ukonayo, why are you not giving it to me? And
You
used
feel
to
like
give
now
it
we are
to me?
diverging funds. All we are doing as men is we are just fighting demons in our heads. Sasa hii padlock ikiwekwa kwa nyumba, where? And you're thinking, this guy is thinking of another woman. Yet we are fighting very deep battles. And let me tell you something. We become a personality we call money avoiders. Anything to do with money we don't want. You call me, I'm on my way home. We did shopping last week, and you're telling me diapers imeisha. The first thing I'll ask you is, why didn't you tell me? Vita inaanza wapi? And I begin to tell you that you're disorganized. Yet, pressure, yes, you may have forgotten, lakini pressure is deeper than you're thinking. So, borrowing to survive for me is a no. Scale down. If worse comes to us, enda ushago. Let people talk. It's a good time to evaluate who are your friends. You know, if I met with you 3 years ago, there was a time I was going through a very difficult time. You'd think my life is over because I even scaled down to a smaller house. You get? And I isolate myself. But that's the thing that people don't understand. People don't really care. Even those children that you're with, they will leave you one day.
They will, sure.
Isn't it?
Yes.
They will leave you
will.
one day. And if you don't plan yourself that you are not depending on them, because if you keep borrowing from these apps and you're blocked, eventually when your kids are up, you start borrowing money from them.
Yeah.
Then you don't break the cycle. I plan not to depend on my children. But at 18, please get out of my house. Go build your own, because I'm working on my own retirement.
Sure.
If I have not set up my own retirement, I have no business building your inheritance. I don't know whether you get it.
I do.
My retirement is more important than his inheritance. Because what if he's been called to be a mariga and he's earning more money? What business does he have needing my wealth?
No.
Yes. So it is very important to have emotional competence. Know that the decisions, most of the decisions, 80% of the decisions that are catastrophic are normally emotional decisions. Okay? And we will share how men are emotional and how women are emotional in what areas.
You've said something that has trickled something else. The reason why, from a personal perspective, like for example, I will borrow in the hope because I know kuna deal na ngoje and I know it will come through. So this month niokole tu 10k nilipe rent.
Yes.
Hiyo deal ikikam nakurudishia pesa and I'll be able to pay rent.
Yes, it's called Kenya's favorite debt. Pesa yetu ijaingia, inaingiaga leo ngapi? Leo ni Friday. Mtu wa finance walichelewa. So latest Monday saa 8 tutakuwa na pesa. So you lend me 5k. Let me tell you something. That is the worst kind of debt because you don't even plan for it and you don't see the costs implicated. One of the things that people do, and it's a challenge to many of us, we don't have capacity to postpone that bad decision. You get it? So assuming today is Friday and I'm telling you pesa ijaingia and I needed to do something today. What is so wrong to go to the house and just wait for Monday?
Nothing, actually.
Unless I don't have fare, unless it's something really urgent, like a medical situation,
Yes.
or even fare, which I can actually look around and find coins, or probably even walk and
Get to your
walk home and
destination,
get
yeah.
to your destination. Because from Thika town, on wapi huwezi tembea
Hakuna
unless unaenda landless. There was a time I used to live in Kimathi, so I used to walk from Kimathi to town.
Yes.
So postpone that bad decision. And I'll tell you what, I told you chains of habits are not easily felt until they are too difficult to be broken. Let me give you an example, a very perfect and a recent example. There was fuel shortage. Unasemaga, me, and let's say you can still afford. Did you notice, because of the shortage of fuel, unaangalia uko na car, probably a quarter tank. You're like, I'll only move out on probably Friday, nifanye kazi yangu yote, because I don't know when I'll get fuel. Because circumstances have forced you. Yes, you can afford fuel. See, a lot of people could afford fuel, but what happened? They were forced by situations. They were forced by that situation. There's no fuel now. You cannot move. So that puts me to the next point. You can actually control your movement. Everything is within your control.
Sure.
Yes. So you don't have to wait to be kupangwa. So wanasema mpangwingi, uko busy hapo unatumbia upangwingi and you stay. Na ulipangwa, kaa kwa nyumba kama una view. You understand? Or you carpool. So you don't want to wait for situations. You don't want to start that little business. You don't want to start the habit of staying away from these apps because you've been forced by circumstances. Start that habit early. Say, I will pay have my mshwari or digital tala, whichever you have. Start saying, because deni ni kulipa. Don't do the Kenyan thing. Please pick up their phone. Work on a payment plan. Start paying it pole pole, 100, 200. Finish that debt. Tell them to reduce for you. Unsubscribe. And start building something. There's beauty in building something without debt. It really works well. But if it's business, borrow from legitimate sources, understand their rates, build something, make sure you're making a higher return than the interest you're paying. And then it's going to work out. But that habit of kuna deal inakuja, it has been, and this is for especially entrepreneurs. I have been there. I have, and this happens without you knowing. There's a big deal coming. Kubwa. You need materials to buy this, so you need capital. And you borrow and you wait. You wait for, it takes longer than you were expecting. In the meantime, what is happening to your expenses? They are piling up. The day you get paid, you're actually backdating payments. So one of the things I came to understand is diversifying. As I wait for my big business, my expenses are being paid passively. There's something I like sharing, that don't underestimate the power of that 200 shillings you make in a day. And I tell people, there's a video I shared. If today, right now, nikwambia it's been a long time, hatujaonana, I'll buy you lunch. Then I forget, you go and you're in the house. But then you get to your house and it's, let's say I gave you cash, tuanze na hiyo, let's say nimekupatia 500 sahi, ukule lunch. What happens? If you already have money elsewhere in your bank account and you had cash, chances are you'll not remember my 500. Sindio? But go home, umefika nyumbani, and I remember, sikutumia Juliet pesa yake ya lunch. Alafu ufike nyumbani, tokens ishe, and you don't have any money on your mobile account, and I send you your 500. It will look like a miracle. Why? Because you have attached it to a recurrent expense. You understand? That's how you start respecting money. Money does not stay where it is needed. It stays where it is respected. So those two small money, start allocating them to those recurrent expenses. So unajua, if you have, angalia hapa Nyamakima, you'll find nowadays a lot of people, yes, they are selling other merchandises, but when you go to pay via mobile, they tell you send or withdraw. They already have an agent there. So that 10 shilling they are making from the withdraw, in a day, if they have 50 clients, that's 500 shillings. That is someone's salary for the day, isn't it? So start diversifying and having other sources of income, that as you wait for the big deal, it's not eating into your accrued expenses, and then you will make progress. We have capacity to do so many things.
We do.
Yes.
And from what you're saying, I think self-control is a very good thing
Yes.
to have.
Yes, self-control, and you see which the money personalities, I keep mentioning them. There's one called a spender, which I fall under. So one of the things that I tell spenders to do is, once you get cash, pay the things that are of a priority. Don't risk having that disposable cash in your bank account. So not a Biblia inasemaga your money is security. So don't have that disposable cash. I would rather be on empty pockets, but I'm building something elsewhere, than please everybody with my full pockets and then accumulate nothing. Yes.
We were talking about money and emotions.
Money and emotions. I've seen this. I'm doing this for this is my 16th year, and I've noticed something. We make very emotional decisions. If you want to make an emotional decision, or you want to know you're making an emotional decision, let your kid assume it is your kid you're advising on the decision you're making. I have seen, especially women, make very emotional decisions in certain areas. Nowadays, you guys are sharp. You will not spend a lot of money on a man if you're dating. You understand? In fact, it is opposite. But if I touch your parents, you guys are paying a lot of black tax. Black tax is that money that you pay out of feeling that your people, they educated you, your mom wants this, and you give the money. 70% of people who are struggling with black tax are women, and especially directly to parents. Now for men, it is now the entire family, especially kids and wife, or if I'm dating, me and my. So we make emotional decisions. We are not making sober decisions. And especially men, I'll tell you why we make emotional decisions. I want to amass so much wealth to live for my children. I am not leaving something in them. I tell my wife to quit her job because I can provide, yet I have killed all her dreams. So by the time I am old, she has never built anything for herself. So if I am gone, she has no other sources. So she will fight for my wealth. My children will fight for my wealth because I've never put anything in them. And that is where you'll find, even here in Thika, you've seen big names fall, but look at the children that have been left behind. They cannot build anything. You understand? They are left fighting their wars, and we have seen many of these. And that is the danger of the emotional decisions we are making. For men, it doesn't matter how much you own if you don't leave something in your children and build capacity to do it for themselves. For women, please have that emotional competence to know when to call your son boy, kababa, and when to kick them out.
Yes.
And especially those women who are doing a great job raising young men. I mean, I have this lady who came to me, my son is good in this and this and this. How old is your son? In fact, nimemlipia masters. How old is your son? But she's not telling me. And she tells me my son is 27 years old. That's a grown man. Yeah. And I told him, now I'll not talk to you. Have him call me.
I want to talk to him.
Yeah, I want to talk to him. Okay? Because there's no way you're paying for his masters and then you've taken a huge loan to start a business for him. When will he ever grow? When will he ever do something for himself?
He'll never be able to exercise the muscle of taking care of himself.
Exactly. And the beauty about this is, if today I drop down, let's say I'm building Money Clinic to be a huge empire. If I'm thinking about my children, then that's a very small vision. My empire needs to outlive my children and their children. I'm not just focusing on my kids because I've seen they may not even be interested in what I do.
Sure.
So I'm raising a younger generation to build it, isn't it? But if my son wants to be a soccer player, my firstborn draws body systems without referring anywhere. He will draw the digestive system. He'll draw the ear at the age of 10. Okay? So that's a guy who's heading to the medical field, isn't it? So what can I impart in him? How to generate a passive income. Okay? How to manage his finances. So that if he builds a career out of that, then well and good. If he doesn't want to do this, I'm raising a generation, isn't it? So that you set free your kids to do what God has called them. A lot of us, and I'm going to say this, and it's going to be painful, a lot of parents today are destiny killers. They are killing the destinies of their children. Why? Because they want to force a child to do what he did do. They want to force a child to join their business, and they are not interested. They want to force their children to think like them. Not at all. If my child is called to play soccer somewhere, let me facilitate that. At 18, please get out of my house. Go build your name. This is Amos. You've been called to do something, but a lot of children are hanging on the names of their fathers. And that's the thing I don't want. I want my kids to go and build their own brand.
They make their own mistakes and find their own way out.
Yes. Yeah. So let them do those dangerous things with information that this is the repercussions.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very insightful. Now, as we come to the conclusion, there's somebody who'd like to contact you. You can tell them how they could reach you.
Yes, we are in Karibu Sana. This is where Money Clinic is found.
Thank you.
I'd encourage people to just reach out, and especially people who are really, and sorry, I'm just biased towards, everybody has empowered you ladies. And what is happening with the empowerment of the women today, their projects, if you start crying in the streets here, chances that you will get help.
Of course.
Our cameraman here, if he starts crying here, people would think he's crazy. And what normally happens is, we don't want to empower women at the cost of men. The danger is that men, a lot of men in homes, in families, are taking a back seat and not providing leadership, and not knowing that the kind of leadership you want to provide is make sober money decisions. Okay? So I am biased towards men who are above 35, because there are a lot of them with scars, people who have borrowed money, people who have lost relationships based on bad financial decisions. Please build. There's time to rebuild. There's always a comeback. So I would tell people, my social media pages on money on Instagram is Money Clinic KE. I also started a program called Money Gossip on TikTok. So if you go on TikTok, it's called Money Gossip, and they can always reach out, DM me. I'm very active on Instagram. I respond myself to the DM, and once you click the call button there, it will get to me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We'll have more and more conversations.
No worries. And it was good reuniting.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Amos, who runs Money Clinic, and he tells us that money stays where it's respected. I hope you have been able to learn a thing or two. I have been your host, Juliet Modoni. Until next time, take care.